Marcus Rashford is our next port of call. Ole Gunnar Solskjær has pledged his future to Manchester United. Marcus Rashford and his representatives making the right type of noises about extending his deal beyond 2020. I mean, everything seems to be falling into place, doesn't it, Old Trafford?
Yeah, it's fallen into place. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjær committing is great. We spoke a little bit earlier. Marcus Rashford, all of a sudden, they're making the right waves, and rightly so. This kid is a star of the future. I thought with Jose, as though he was never really, he didn't fancy him 100%, and he was in and out. All of a sudden now, he's feeling the warmth from his manager. He's having the trust from his manager. And you see this young man playing for Manchester United and England, you go, wow, they need to get this boy signed on. I don't think he was going to develop. I actually thought under Jose Mourinho, he would probably leave Manchester United. I really believe that, because the younger players seem to be the one that Jose always picked on or left out. They were the easy touch. And this young boy needs to feel the love. And I think, rightly so, he will commit. I've no doubt David De Gea, the save in that one, for the right time, to him to commit, to give that feel-good factor. Don't know what's happened with Mata and Herrera. I'm not too sure about them. But those two are the main ones. I think that they get them signed on.
It's quite a change, isn't it? I mean, it's quite a change. I mean, 12 goals in all competitions for Rashford, 4 in 20 under Jose, 8 in 18 under Ole Gunnar Solskjær. Someone mentioned there that Jose didn't fancy him.
I don't mean completely.
But in the sense of how come it can't purely be about how he feels his transformation.
Well, it is. He's been the main man under Solskjær.
Right.
You know, he's played
so
as the number 9.
Tactically, he's been put in a position where he can show people what he can do.
He's been the number 9. He's been the one in the middle, straight down the middle. And Solskjær has clearly gone to him, look, I'm going to put my faith in you, and if you miss, don't worry about it. It's not a problem. I mean, he talked to the likes of, you know, great striker, Ian Wright and people like that. As a striker, you need that confidence to think, because when you're a young player coming through and thinking, well, if I miss this chance, I'm getting dragged, or I'm not going to play the next game. The pressure mounts up, and then you tense up a little bit, and you might pull it a little, and all those things start to add up. He's been given the freedom and can say, look, you're going to play. Go and put the ball in the back of the net, and if you miss, it's not a problem, you play next week. So he can relax a little bit in front of goal. He's been the main man. Obviously, Lukaku's been left out. Lukaku was the main man for Mourinho. Rashford was wide and coming on at times. So as all those things have come together, the only thing that I think Rashford needs to add to his game is tap-ins. He's the scorer of great goals at the moment. He needs to start doing what Raheem Sterling's doing, getting into the far post, getting that little tap-in here and there. And all of a sudden, he'll get another 10 goals a season from not doing an awful lot, just being in the right position. I
mean, his effectiveness is there for all to see with not only the goals that he brings to the game, but the shots and the assists. And
it gets people off the feet, David. It gets people off the feet. He knows, and he cuts inside. And he has this great belief, and he can hit a ball. He can make it move. I was just thinking when you were talking then, one of the abide memories of those last sort of maybe half a dozen games, was it Rashford who went through, missed the chance? And Jose, the camera cut to Jose.
He couldn't hide his expression, could he? No.
And you thought, my goodness, and I know we all can't sort of
the difference is
sort of go, oh well, that was all right. But I think it was a moment which said that he didn't have to trust. And I think that was a big thing for Jose.
And that's what it would have been. That would have happened under Jose. And we've seen Pep do that, even when Aguero's missed and other people. But then it would have mean Rashford wouldn't have played the next game. And that's the difference. Solskjaer has gone, OK, you've missed a chance, I get it, but you're still going to play. So that gives him the belief next time he gets in, he can still stay calm and slot the ball home. And that's what you need as a forward player, and as a young player especially.
Is it also to do with, I mean, when you talk about the amount of game time that he's had, but playing in a position which suits him, he's going to get more of those clear-cut chances, as you say, as a central player than he would playing wide.
Well, it would have been
in a game. There's 3 or 4 chances that he might be able to.
It would have been interesting had he not pulled out the England games where he played. You know, would have Harry Kane's obviously the main man. Would he have played alongside Harry Kane as a 2? Would he have played out wide on the left-hand side? Would he have played him? You know, where'd you play him? Would he have got in? So maybe it's done Rashford a favour in the fact that he wasn't quite fit, protecting an injury, that he maybe hasn't played out of position. He comes straight back into the Man United squad as the main man again.
But you have to have Marcus Rashford in the team if he's fit. with Raheem Sterling. Now, where he plays, he's not going to dislodge Harry Kane in the England setup. But you have to shoehorn this guy into your side. He can be a match winner. And I think you can work with the guys. You see, Raheem doesn't just stay to one side.
He's got 30 caps for England already. You know, he's eclipsed Rooney and everybody else, Rashford. He's an undoubted talent. You know, we know that. He's got so much potential and he's starting to fulfil that. But let's not forget, he's still very, very young at the moment. You know, Raheem Sterling's a good bit older. And look how much he's progressed in the last 18 months. We can still expect that from Rashford. We've got to be a little bit careful. We don't expect too much too soon of a very, very young player still.
But do we see a young player, you mentioned in the same bracket as Wayne Rooney, who had the mental capacity to deal with pressure from such an early age? When you look at Rashford and perhaps the games that he's played, the penalty that sticks out in the Champions League were absolute nerves of steel, didn't he? I mean, has he got the kind of the makeup of a player to be that?
I don't think you get to Man United first team if you haven't got that makeup. You don't get to Liverpool's first team, Man City's first team, if you haven't got that ability to deal with things mentally. So without a doubt, he's got that. He's played 30 times for England already.
I think the more that they play, the more that they feel sort of that they're important. I think he went through it with Jose, as though I'm not really. We were talking about it before, not really trusted. He doesn't really. So he plays that way. You play that way.
He could have
and
scored
it's the same with England. You go along with England squads when you go, and those early games, you feel as though you've just been involved. You might get a game. This boy now feels he belongs. He belongs at Manchester United in the starting 11 with England. I deserve to be. And once you feel that trust from the manager for both Gareth Southgate or Ole Gunnar Solskjær, it will make you play. Look, let's just flip Paul Pogba. Why is he looking as though he's getting in the box? Because nobody's going to be telling him off that you shouldn't be getting in the box so often. You should be, get back there. We've got to make sure that when they have a breakaway, you're in. Now, he's been allowed to express himself, and I think that's what Marcus Rashford's been allowed to do.
Do you think this group of players that he's got, I mean, Ole Gunnar Solskjær has already said that he's had agents ringing him since he's put pen to paper on a permanent deal. He's very much looking to reassert themselves at the top of the tree, isn't he? I mean, you talked about earlier on about, I think, Liverpool setting the pace, Manchester City setting the standard. Is this squad good enough to push them next year?
Solskjaer's done an unbelievable job. You know, he steadied the ship, he got everybody happy, playing well, and it's gone far better than I think anybody expected it was going to do. He's now got the job permanently, and I think Gary Neville said this week, the issue now for Manchester United is he's got to keep hold of that backroom staff. That's vitally important because they've clearly given him an awful lot of advice and been a huge help. But recruitment is the most important thing to Manchester United. They've got it wrong. You know, it included managers and players almost since Sir Alex Ferguson left. They've now got to get that right. They've got to identify their targets. Where do they need to strengthen? And this is now another test for Solskjær. Now he's the permanent manager. He's got to have a say in who he wants, who he needs to bring in, and that'll be another test of if he's going to, continue to be a very, very successful manager at Manchester United. But it's all about recruitment now.
Is it Ole's decision about something? Because he's been at Mulder, he's been at Cardiff, so he's not really had the chance, particularly to spend the riches what Manchester United possess. It's how you actually do that. So he's going to need, if they've got people behind the scenes, as most clubs seem to have now, who look at players and then they present them to the manager. And the manager will have his own mind.
City brought in
he has
Soriano and Begiristain, that had recruited players all the way through the Barcelona academy, had sent scouts out all over the world. So they identified targets along with Pep and said, OK, these are the targets that we need. Their recruitment, Man City, you're always going to make the odd mistake, but their recruitment's been exceptional. And keeping the players they've got, OK, we want to keep these, we want to let those go. That's been exceptional as well. And that's why Man City have got themselves in that situation. Manchester United need that sort of person. They need, whatever you want to call it, sporting director, technical director, whatever it is. They need that go-between between Ed Woodward and the manager to actually who is in charge of recruitment. For the biggest club in the world, we still don't really know.
For them doing so well, for Manchester United doing this still, as you said before, are they behind Liverpool and Manchester? Yes, they are. They do need better players, and this has been fantastic. And you're right, it's been an incredible run. He's done wonders, but you still look at the squad in certain areas. it's still not good enough to compete for the title, I think.
So so he's talking about within 3 years. Is it realistic to think that they can
within 3
challenge
years?
for it?
But that's what I'm saying. It's recruitment, and it's essential that for too long they've got it wrong. And I think it is so important. So there'll be a lot of pressure.
Because at the moment, Solskjaer could have had the best period ever, and that might go to the end of the season, and they still could finish 6th. So then, therefore, although he's had this great season, they're not going to go all of next season doing that without bringing in new players.
Absolutely.
So as good as they've been, and I know he's got a lot more points and he's closed the gap.
Perception of them's changed as well,
yeah,
hasn't it?
but they still could finish 6th this season quite easily. You know, it's no guarantee they're going to make the top 4. So then it's actually recruiting players, bring them into possibly Europa League football. Do they want to cut? So there's all those sort of issues still in the mix. Manchester United now is all about recruitment and getting in the right players and the right type of players.
Totally agree. No.
I put Tom on as sporting director.
Yeah.
Sell all the family jewellery and get out of there.
It's quite easy to sit here and say to actually do it and get these, but because of where it's gone wrong before, you're sitting down with people, and one of the big things, Ole has to have that say. You get together, you discuss it, but if the manager is going, well, they're giving you the players who you've got to deal with. No, it's not. Ole's got to have that sort of the focus that, yes, I can see it, and this is the ones that we want. There's a number of players. They're the one I can see them fitting in.
I'm sure Guardiola's getting off.
Don't just throw the money at people. Bring them in because I've spent £75 million for them. They're going to fit. No, they aren't.
Guardiola must be getting offered players all the time, but he has the fire say, don't want him. Actually, don't need him. You know, Pochettino, very, very similar, and even Bielsa, who they've obviously they all look up to, or those two look up to. Even at Leeds has gone. No, I don't want them. You can have this. You can have that. Don't want it. Doesn't fit into my system.
The big teams need two players for every position. That's just a give me now, the way they look for top players. You've got to look. Before, you used to have backups. I can remember Gerard Houllier saying to me, we went, he had little squares and we had these players, and these ones were backups. We were looking to have 2 top players for every position. City have got that. City have worked that way, that they have those players. Manchester United need to get back to that, and they're, at the moment, they're falling way short of that.